Shalom, all praises to Yahweh, Ba'Shem Yahushua, Ba'Shem Harakakadash, double honors to the apostles and the elders, great millstone, the real world, and Shalom to all the brothers doing the work, Syria in truth. Um, yeah, well, you've been having over the course of the last like half a week, 4 or 5 days. No, what was it? It was Friday. So it'll be what, 4 days? 4 days. You had you had Liz Truss get sworn in as Prime Minister. Then the Queen croaked, and like you had the budget basically pushed out by the new Chancellor of the Exchequer. Some Ghanaian youth, Kwasi Kwarteng, I believe, and it was more or less just kind of loosening up restrictions. Well, just kind of loosen up everything. Apparently, to try and draw people back into to staying in England, businesses basically. And it's the main thing was the tax cuts, and the pound's basically just been completely dumpstered. It wasn't really doing too well anyway. Been on the decline from post Brexit anyway. But it's really it's like it fell off a cliff, because we'll go into it, in the article that it was trading, 4 cents, $1.04, to the dollar, which is fucking wild. I remember back in early 2000s, used to go on eBay and buy shit from America, because why? Some shit would be $80 in America and then like 70 quid over here. And then that you be paying like $40, even if you're paying like an extra like 5 quid for delivery, you're still making a fucking saving and a half. Because the pound was that strong. Pound was that main financial force. It was a top currency. Anywhere you go, you're getting your money's worth. Remember, it was like the euro was, I think, 160 euros at its height. Kind of wild, man. Fuck, Bank of England says this is on CNBC. It says Bank of England says it won't hesitate to hike rates after pound falls to historic low. Yeah, well, they're gonna have to do something, because otherwise, Britain's gonna be all kinds of fruit. Any business with any kind of international costs involved, they're gonna be sweating bullets right now. They're gonna be on their deathbed. They're gonna be passed out. They're gonna be suicidal. So sterling fell as much as 4.8% to trade below $1.04 in the early hours of Monday morning. So yeah, I remember when they announced it on Friday, I was like, it started falling. I didn't check the what the fuck are the overnight markets called? I can't remember, but the ones that basically when whilst what's it more? It's futures. That's what they're called. They're called trade futures. So I didn't check what the futures were saying for the pound, but I was like, we'll kind of see from Monday what the theme's gonna be, and it's still it recovered a bit, but it's still like it said, So this is out in early morning hours of Monday morning, extending losses from late last week. The UK currency has since paired some of its losses, trading 1.3% lower at 1.07. So from that, it was already like skimming down, man. As analysts predict, the Bank of England may need to raise interest rates more aggressively. Bank of England on Monday said it's monitoring financial market developments very closely after a dramatic morning of turmoil saw the British pound fall to an all-time low against US dollar. Sterling fell as much as 4.8% to trade below $1.04 in the early hours of the Monday morning, extending losses from late last week when Finance Minister Kwasi Kwarteng outlined a new UK government so-called mini-budget. The UK currency pared some of its losses through the session, but extended its fall versus the dollar immediately after the Bank of England statement. Sterling, so the statement is what made it fall even more. As the sterling was last seen trading 1.3% lower at $1.07. The bank is monitoring developments in financial markets very closely in light of the significant repricing of financial assets, Bank of England Governor Andrew Bailey said in a statement. The role of monetary policy is to ensure that demand does not get ahead of supply in a way that leads to more inflation over the medium term. The BOE, Bank of England Governor said the Central Bank's Monetary Policy Committee would make a full assessment at its next scheduled meeting in November and act accordingly. The MPC will not hesitate to change interest rates as necessary to return inflation to the 2% target sustainably in the medium term, in line with its responsibility, he added. The announcement by Prime Minister Liz Truss's administration featured a volume of tax cuts not seen in Britain since 1972. Yeah, and that was kind of the key part. Because they did tax cuts and they took the limits of bankers' bonuses, where I don't even remember what the bonuses were. They said an unabashed return to the trickle-down economics promoted by the likes of Ronald Reagan and Margaret Thatcher. So yeah, it's kind of like deregulating a bunch of shit to then make it easier for bigger companies to kind of make money, and then that's meant to then mean, more people get hired, people get paid more because there's more desire for stuff and blow. Essentially, try and get the economy moving, because that's the main issue right now. Is everyone can smell the recession in the air, and in the short term it might prolong the recession. I think they're just trying to make it not happen over winter, because if that combines, if the recession kicks in fully, people ain't spending money for shit. Christmas presents, people are, I'll get you something, in fucking in May, when we're not, when we're not starving, when we're dying, then it'll be even worse. But hey, can it even be saved? So it says what the radical policy move put the UK at odds with most major global economies at a time of sky-high inflation and a worsening cost of living. Yeah. But funny, because Tories, well, they know who they're focusing on. So as a fiscal plan, the UK Treasury on Monday afternoon said the government would set out its medium-term fiscal plan on November 23rd. Kwarteng requested the independent budget for budget responsibility. Requesting an independent office for budget responsibility set off a full forecast alongside the plan, the Treasury said. To be sure, Friday's mini-budget was not accompanied by the usual economic forecast from the OBR. The fiscal plan will set out further details on the government's fiscal rules, including ensuring that debt falls as a share of GDP in the medium term. Yeah, I think it's funny because they even said like all the stuff that they announced, like including the tax cuts. I think they had to borrow like an absolutely absurd, like maybe 350 billion. Was it billion or million? I think it was 350 million. Maybe it was billion actually. I don't fucking remember. Um, but yeah, it's like economy wise, it's looking wild. Like it's to the point where I have to kind of wait and see for how that impacts. Because regardless, it's gonna be a fucking peak winter. Because why? The energy crisis. And they mention it in here as well. Nah, not even. But the energy crisis is the other thing that's there, essentially waiting in the wings. And what? How's it gonna work out? You know, how's it all meant to come together? That's not something that they even seem to have in hand. Read this, Daniel 2:41. It says, "And whereas thou sawest the feet and toes, part of pot's clay and part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided, but there shall be in it of the strength of the iron, for so much as thou sawest the iron mixed with miry clay." So this is going into what? The mixed kingdom, as it's called, which is what the EU and NATO, that conglomerate of Esau, where what they're putting all their strength together for what, for towards their agenda. But then it says what, it's mixed iron and clay, and it says for so no, it says, but there shall be in the strength of the iron. So it's got that military strength is still as high, because why? That was Esau's blessing, the sword, for him to be able to pull off whatever he desires. That's the means by which he's got to do it. That sword. So it says and as the toes of the feet were part of iron and part of clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken. Yeah, partly strong, partly broken. And it's funny because for a while it seemed like Britain, the mother of the beast, was that part of the partly strong. But now it's being shown. It's like after it's been cut off. You had Brexit, where they're basically just what, it's essentially torpedoed. One of the unclean frogs. Now it's looking like toast. And then what? Partly strong, partly broken. Yeah. And then you have, in among Europe, like in the EU, you have the stronger nations, and Germany's really the key one. For the EU, I think France has the greatest military in the EU, and then financially, or production wise, it's Germany, which now has given them that financial weight, because London's kind of been running on being that financial hub. That's the role the Froggatt plays, and being the place at the land where the elites are residing. But then what now? It's become cracked. It's become what's it called? Yeah, partly broken. It's part of the partly broken. It's weakened, and with it losing that luster, that shine. That's they're basically that the financial system starts to go tits up. That's where the Charagma comes in to save the day. That mark. And this is something that's going to be, felt on a global scale. It's telling that it begins at what? The frog focus on finance. Um, and whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. Yeah. So that's why you're having, these Brexits. Because why? They're not mingled together as one. They're still cutting off and, separating. But then again, it's like as, this crumbles, this financial system, where one the key spot has been London for the longest. Now it's faltering. There's going to be that shift required. No. Jeremiah 51:6. It says, "Flee out of the midst of Babylon, and deliver every man his soul. Be not cut off in her iniquity, for this is the time of the Lord Yahweh's vengeance. He will render unto her a recompense." Yeah, that's going to be how Babylon sees its end. Render a recompense. Yeah. So it says, "What? Babylon hath been a golden cup in the Lord Yahweh's hand, that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad." Yeah. So Babylon, that whore, that harlot, has been what? The principal, the main spot. Slavering that, that madness all over the earth, slanging it so that everyone's completely hooked. Everyone's off their face. They don't know what the hell's going on. But then what? It says, they made all the earth drunken. The nations are drunken of wine, therefore the nations are mad. It says what? Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. How for her take balm for her pain, if so be she may be healed. And yeah, this, the fall of the crumble of that monetary aspect that you see beginning over here in the UK, that's part of, that fall of Babylon. Because what they're gonna have, it's gonna be, as it's on its way out, as it's being destroyed, as it's crumbling, as it falls to the chaos, they're gonna be what? Trying to establish themselves with their new world order, their plans, where they're trying to construct a system, utilizing their miracles, utilizing their technology, where they're then gonna they're never gonna have to go down. That's what their desire is. That's what their hope is. That's what their goal is. But what does it say? Babylon suddenly fallen and destroyed. How for her take balm for her pain, if so be she may be healed. And that's how people are gonna be. It says in Revelation 17, was it 18 actually? No, I think it's 18, where it says, "Stand afar off, and weeping the merchants." Why? Because all those that made money, they'll be weeping because all the business, all the merchandise they're looking to sell, losing that business. That's what's gonna have them lamentating. That monetary, being able to partake in that monetary system. That's what they're gonna, they're gonna be howling like that. And it says, "What? Take balm for her pain, if so be she may be healed." It says, "What? We would have healed Babylon." Yeah, what's the soothing balm is that Charagma gonna heal it? Because even with the Charagma is gonna go out, the mark's gonna be established. But then what? Is Esau gonna get everything he desires? No, it says in Job, when he's about to fill his belly, the Most High will, heap his wrath upon him, man. Put him on smash. It says, "Take balm for her pain, if so be she may be healed. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her, and let us go every one into his own country. For a judgment reacheth unto heaven, and is lifted up even to the skies. So yeah, with Babylon, with America, what's gonna go down? That whole system's gonna be gutted. It's gonna be done. Any form of hope or extension for them to be able to do their thing, that's all gonna go in the bin. But yeah, I'll leave it there. Shalom. Yabashim Shabashim Wakak Dash Shalom.